Well, hello, backcountry.church. I am so excited. Today we're starting and kicking off a brand new feature of the church, and that is called an interview with. And today is super special because today I get to interview a great friend and a hiking partner, Keith Warner. Yay, Keith!
Hello.
No, it's super exciting. So what are we doing with the interview with overall? I'll just say we're going to be interviewing so many different people about nature, about hiking, backpacking, a lot of experiences, and you'll see as we go. But hey, thanks for being here.
You bet.
Hey, now,
sounds good.
We've actually known each other for a while. I need to disclose that. So, how long have we known each other?
I don't know if we should say exactly how long.
Can you count that
let's
high?
say college days, but let's just say.
Who was president?
Let's say 30 some years.
Oh gosh.
Is that broad enough?
Yeah. Wow. So was Reagan president back in the day?
A little bit after Reagan, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So okay.
Well, so we've known each other for a while, but recently, I'd say over the last few years, we started doing some hikes together. But as long as I've known you, you've enjoyed like nature.
Yeah.
And I know your parents lived in a nature area, the mountains or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stuff do you love to do? And not just now, but even previously, what kind of stuff you love to do out in nature?
Yeah, well, since you mentioned my parents, if we go way back, my parents grew up in Ohio and got married and packed up their VW Bug with the camping gear all on the top.
Oh my goodness.
And took 2 weeks to move out to California because my dad had been out here on a vacation, and when he was 14 and he came through, the Bay Area and saw, there's just the beauty here, and said, when I graduate, this is where I want to live. And he always remembered that. They got married, packed up the VW Bug, like I said, moved out and took 2 weeks camping across the United States, came out here. And so I was born the following year. And so here was this young couple living in this, mecca of mountains and reservoirs and lakes. And they actually bought a ski boat before I was born. So that's what I was kind of born into, as a young couple that was just exploring every weekend and taking the boat to reservoirs. Of course, Yosemite was a big thing. Even when I was a toddler, we've got pictures. And so I kind of grew up enjoying nature with my parents, who were new to California and wanted to just explore every weekend. And then the things that I really took hold of was snow skiing was one. Well, water skiing, I guess, at an earlier age because we had that boat. Water skiing, snow skiing, and then really just hiking, more like day hikes. Yeah. I'd say until recently. Did a couple of short backpacking trips.
When did you? How old were you when you first went snow skiing?
Snow skiing, I was in 7th grade.
Oh.
So not super young, but I skied 17 days my first year. Wow. So I went from
Bear Valley?
A lot of it. Yeah.
Okay, I got a funny story.
How did you guess?
So my parents bought me skis. And I went skiing for the first time. I took a lesson and then went skiing with my brother. Yeah. And so if my brother's watching, funny story, I went up on the lift at Bear Valley, and my brother's down this, the easy slope to begin with. Sure. And I'm like my skis wouldn't go. Yeah. So he yelled, I'll never forget, I'm in 7th grade. He yells up at me and he said, did you wax your skis? What does that mean?
Right.
That was my first introduction to skiing.
They weren't waxed, so they were just sticking in the snow.
Exactly.
That will happen. But so I went from not knowing really, not skiing at all, to 17 ski days later being, pretty much able to keep up with my friends and
That's
go
amazing.
on just about anything. So that was really good. Hiking, my wife and I raised 2 kids, and so just day hikes with the kids and getting them out into.
So you did. You
nature.
Took your kids hiking. Now you lived in the San Jose South Bay area,
right?
Silicon
Valley.
So you would take them out hiking around there, or
yeah, county parks, state parks. But as we'll talk about soon, Yosemite was a big thing.
Okay.
And so we would go to Yosemite, and my daughter still remembers a hike that we took them on, and my son enjoyed it quite a bit, but my daughter still talks about how we dragged her against her will, basically.
My kids will never forgive me for taking them to Vernal Falls.
Well, we went to Nevada Falls.
Oh my God.
And she was pretty young. Like, it's okay, it's just a little further, not remembering that we also got to get them back.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, I never lived that one down, and I think I pushed a little too hard there. But
wow. So you've been hiking all these years, and really family, and when you grew up, but you're still hiking now.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy about it?
I mean, being out in nature, and I was thinking, it's interesting. I really don't enjoy running at all. I don't know. I haven't really seen you run too much.
No.
And I think, I go to the gym, I try to get to the gym and do various things, but, I'll get on a treadmill, and by 20 minutes into a run on a treadmill, I could barely make it to 30 minutes. And I just want to get off of there. But yet we'll go out hiking, and we'll talk a little bit about our recent backpacking trip, and it'll be 6, 8, 10 hours in a day that we're hiking,
right?
And I mean, I get tired, but I don't get tired of it,
right?
Doing it. And I think it's partly just being out in nature and amongst lakes and trees and the beauty that's out there.
Now recently you completed one of the most coveted trails, I think, in the world, and that's the John Muir Trail, JMT. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What did you think of it? What was a highlight?
Yeah. I felt like I was on Survivor a little bit, of just getting through it. Completing it was part of, the kind of the goal, but also enjoying the journey along the way. Yeah, it was amazing.
How many miles is it?
The John Muir Trails.
Or did you do, I should say.
Yeah, the John Muir Trail is 211 miles from the valley of Yosemite, Happy Isles. It's the little name of the location there. And then it goes south and ends at the summit of Mount Whitney. But you really can't just end at the summit of Mount Whitney where the trail does. You have to hike 10 miles out to Whitney Portal and actually, end your trek. So, we probably did 210 to 220 miles because we didn't start exactly at Happy Isles. We started in Tuolumne Meadows.
Right.
But yeah, just amazing. You go through, 4 or 5 national parks or national forests through
plus Yosemite and then a national park. What did you learn from it, if anything? What kind of sticks out as, I learned this about myself, about the area, about whatever?
Yeah. Well, I think the challenge, as I mentioned, is a big part. So I learned that I can do it. That was part of what I wanted to. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I would see that and say, yeah, I could do that. And then I'd watch some more and go, I think I can do that. And I got to the point where I wanted to know I could do it. And so just the physical challenge. So I know I can do it now, which is great. But it wasn't just the physical challenge. I know now that I can be without email and texts and news, TV, for 18 days, 17, 18 days in a row. And
being back from that, like, how did it affect you, if at all, for not having internet access for the most part?
Right.
For those days, how does it affect you now? Like, do you think different? Do you act different?
Yeah, I think I'm easing back into those things. So Whereas I used to be kind of a late night TV watcher, and so now it'll be like, I'm starting to time to get in my tent. I mean, go to my bedroom.
Exactly.
And so I've been turning in a little earlier and cutting out some of the late night TV, things like that, But some of it I still enjoy, watching a movie with my wife.
Sure.
And some of the necessity of being in email with work.
But it's almost like maybe you've lost some interest in the late night TV or whatever.
Yeah, it's not as important.
Right.
I mean, we were gone 17 days and come back and things are pretty much the same as when you left as far as in the world and then, on the news. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I didn't need to pay attention.
Was there on the John Muir Trail, was there a highlight for you that like this really stands out, whether it was a moment or a...
Yeah, I think I like to mix two highlights. One's the people and one is a place. And the people are just mostly the through hikers that are there. There's some weekend hikers that you come across, but it's mostly out there on the JMT. You're seeing either people doing the full JMT or people doing the full PCT, Pacific Crest Trail, which is from Mexico to Canada.
2,650 miles.
Yeah, so they're always going north, and we were going south. So we passed a lot of them, and got to know some, just talking, swapping stories. But I think, so getting to know the people and just interacting with them was one highlight. But then if you mix that with a place, and that would be the Muir Hut at the top of Muir Pass, which I think was like the third pass we went over, and probably on day 4 or 5. We got to the top of Muir Pass, and there's this hut which is built there was built in 1938 as kind of to honor John Muir.
Right.
He was the first. It was built by the Sierra Club, and he was their first president. And so you can actually go in there. There's a door, you go in, and there's a place for, you could fit 10 or 12 people in there.
Right.
And there was just a bunch of us hanging out, PCTers, JMTers, and swapping stories and getting to know each other, and where are you going, where have you been, what should I look out for on the next pass, here's a great place to camp tomorrow night. And so it was just that mix of this really unique place with really cool people that we were hiking with, that I think was definitely a highlight for me.
That's amazing. And probably along the way, as you talk to people on the PCT, and ask them, why are you doing? Walking 2,600 miles, the first 700 being in the desert, is, significant, right?
Yeah.
What did a lot of them say as to why they were doing this?
Gosh, I think some of them were just, you kind of get that mix of people that look like they're, maybe in college and they've got the summer off, although they're going to be walking until October. And then you've got some in the kind of the retired side of it. It's hard to hold down a job and do the PCT at the same time.
Right.
But the why was just kind of like, I just, thought it would be good to just get out, like I said, in nature, and to, maybe reset my life. Some of them were just, I'd maybe gone through some things, not necessarily like trauma type of things, but just like it was a time in their lives, they would say, that they just wanted to
reset,
regroup, get out, and maybe just...
It's hard to do that, right? Because in life, maybe you get married or you have kids and you're in a job and there's a rhythm, and you go to another job and there's a rhythm, and before you know it, a decade goes by, 2 decades, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, life is going by. And we've all known people who passed away too early in life, right?
Yeah.
And so there's this realization that life is short, to kind of do a reset. Now, when you did the JMT, you had 17 days to do that.
Right.
A lot of these people have months to do that.
Right.
Let me ask you this. So in the event that there might be some people watching this that might be a little bit out of shape, okay. I don't know if that's possible or not, right. But just in the event, it's not like somebody's gonna go, I'll do the John Muir Trail tomorrow. Like, maybe just taking a walk in the park might be the first thing. What are some maybe 3 or 4 tips that you would tell somebody to do now, just to begin to set the stage for maybe more later?
Yeah, first of all, I'll say I don't know that I was in great shape before doing the GMT. People will say, oh, did you train, when we got to Mount Whitney, did you train for this? I'll go, yeah, I've been training for 16 days for this. I trained on day 1 for day 2, and trained on day 2 for day 3.
Exactly.
So, the things I'd say, gosh, I don't want to quote Nike, but you should just get out there, do it. Just start somewhere, would be what I'd say. Start in your local neighborhood. I didn't have a lot of time to get out to, a national park or a state park or something to train, but I live in a neighborhood that has some hills, and so I've got kind of this little route that I go on that's like 2.5 miles. And so I would just do it every morning before it got too hot as we got into May and June.
And most people have parks near them, regardless of where you live.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we're sitting at a great park right now. So, so get out there and do it, and then choose something that's maybe on the weekend. It's maybe something a little higher level than your neighborhood, whether that be like a state park or something you can find and that maybe has a little more elevation, or you're going to go further, so you got to put on a day pack and carry some water and just build from there.
What if they don't like walking by themselves? They want to do it with somebody, but they can't find somebody.
Well, backcountry.church. Maybe you can connect with somebody.
Yeah.
Right on here. Or your local church. The church you physically go to.
Maybe if they have a friend, they could FaceTime somebody while they're walking.
Sure.
Somebody who lives across the country or something like that.
Yeah.
They're not physically there, but at least there's somebody with them. Okay.
Yeah.
What other tips would you encourage people? Like, how do I get started just getting out there?
If you need gear, your local REI is good for gear as far as what to, how to get started there. And they actually even have some, little hiking clubs.
Right.
So I know there's, like meetup.com has some things too.
Right.
So
in fact, I saw REI even offers a one-on-one class on how to ride a bike.
What?
I'm not kidding. I saw that actually today. Like,
okay.
I should,
I
should sign up for that.
There might be an age limit. I don't know.
All right. Anything else to encourage somebody? Just put down the remote. You might be, maybe overweight, or maybe mentally some hard things have happened, and so maybe they're a little depressed. Any other tips on how just to begin?
Yeah. I would just encourage you, if you are, in some of those categories you just mentioned. I've walked and hiked with people that, that are kind of going through mentally some hardships or things. And even though it might be difficult for them to want to take that first step to get out, they've always said at the end that they're glad they did, and that it's actually helped their, whether it's an actual, mental illness that's been diagnosed, or there's just a depression they're going through. In every, 100% of the cases, they've said that the physical activity and being out in nature and exercising, it always helps.
Nature is almost like a healing balm. It calms people.
Yeah.
Except, of course, when the lion gets the deer and eats it, but that's a whole different discussion.
Yes.
Anyways, at backcountry.church, our mission is helping people simply connect with God, others, and themselves through the enjoyment of nature. When you're out there, how do you, and it could be in your neighborhood, walking in the park, or snow skiing. I know you snow ski sometimes by yourself. How do you connect with others? Mm-hmm. Whether it's through hiking or backpacking or whatever.
Yeah, I do. I have several key people that I go with you as far as backpacking goes, and a friend named Dwayne, who I snow ski a lot with. And, I guess they both have similarities in that, for backpacking, we're typically walking fairly close to each other where we can hear and we can start conversation, and you don't have the distractions of, the modern world.
Right.
And so there's just time. And then when you're snow skiing, you're on the chairlift. It's like this natural break that you've got to recover from what you just skied, and you've got this natural place where you're sitting right next to somebody. And so I've had really good opportunities to connect with Dwayne on those trips, and other guys that I've gone with. But yeah, I think you do have to be you have to be intentional about maybe the questions that you ask each other, because you can just, as guys, we can just go on with sports and weather and stuff. But, how are you really doing? How's your relationship with your wife going? How's, what are your kids into? You can get a little deeper. And
I usually ask, what's your PIN number? What's your social security number? Stuff like that. But okay. I like your questions too. I should try those out at some point. What are some of the best places that you've day hiked?
Day hiked. I think, was it about a year and a half ago or something, you and I day hiked Mount Tamalpais.
Oh, yeah.
That was great. So we went
Now that's above San Francisco, right?
Yeah, a little bit north across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay, yeah.
And we day hiked from Stinson Beach to the top of Mount Tam and back, and that was like an all-day thing. And there was it's a really cool area. And remember we went through, there was that amphitheater.
Yes.
Kind of thing that's up there.
Was that on that hike?
That was Mount Tam, where they do outdoor plays and I think Shakespeare kind of things up there.
I can only remember when I was on Mount Tam by myself and I got lost.
Oh, no, I remember.
And I kept walking and walking and walking, and then I didn't know where I was. My phone had died, and I was out of water. And then out of the blue, there's hidden a fire station. What is a fire station doing in the middle of nowhere? So I went and knocked on the door. This was during COVID, and they came out and they gave me water. I charged my phone in their fire engine. That's what I remember. Nice. But Mount Tam is amazing because of all the ecosystems. Like the one at the street level is like Hawaii. With all the ferns and the moss and the trees, and then as you go a little higher,
there's some streams and creeks. And there was, remember we got to that one place, there was like a ladder you had to climb up?
Oh, I forgot all about that.
That was pretty cool. So I'd say that was a really good one. That was, fairly local to us. But I mean, my all-time favorite day hike is the one I dragged my daughter up and my son up to, but we've done it several times with my wife, and that's just in Yosemite Valley, up Vernal Falls, and of course you'll see a lot of tourists will be joining you there, but if you press on a little further up to Nevada Falls, the crowd goes significantly down. But seeing those two falls, and then we usually go up the Mist Trail, and then we take the John Muir Trail back down to Happy Isles, and that's a great, if you can get up to Yosemite, that is a super day hike. Right.
Well, in fact, they've recently redone the Mist Trail. They've added railing. They've redone some of the walkway as you're going up. It's absolutely beautiful, and there's water. It's not dry. There's water.
You can get water that you can drink at the Vernal Falls Bridge there.
Right.
And there's a restaurant at both of them.
Any trails you've done out of state?
Out of state? No. Out of state adventures have been my snow skiing. I mean, I go to Colorado each year.
Now you've done some hikes in Hawaii.
Oh, you're right.
I'd consider that out of state.
I think of Hawaii as mainly sitting on the beach or by a pool, but you're right. We do. Linda and I like to do some hiking when we go to Hawaii.
Okay.
So,
any favorite trail?
I mean, the Kala'lau Trail on the North Shore of Hawaii, definitely our favorite. Now, we haven't gone, the full length. I think it's 11 miles, where you backpack in, and so we haven't done that. We've just gone to the call it the First Beach. It's got a long Hawaiian name with not enough vowels, consonants or vowels. But they, that's a great hike. I mean, gosh, you're looking down at the ocean there.
Right.
The emerald, kind of blue.
So what is your next big hike, or what would you like to do?
Next big hike. Well, you're trying to convince me to do the Colorado Trail. Which
I don't know about that.
That might be a little too long. I heard that's 485 miles.
Sure.
So that's a bit. I would love to do the John Muir Trail, but in the opposite direction.
Okay.
I mean, it was so beautiful there, and I think you get kind of a whole different perspective. It sounds silly, if you're on the same trail, but if you're looking a different direction,
right.
I'd probably do that, and it's just right. It's about the right time as far as a long, 2 to 3 weeks. That's a long time to be gone.
Right. Any international hikes that you would love to do?
Yes. My wife is more interested in this, but she's bringing me along, in the interest level, and she wants to hike the Camino, and the Camino de Santiago, I think it's called. So in Spain, there's several ways to do it. And it's called the Way. There's the Portuguese way, the Portuguese coastal way, the Spanish way. There's all kinds of different ways that you end up at this one historic church there. And I think it's about, if you do the full Camino de Santiago, I think it's 400 miles, something.
So you could do the Colorado Trail.
Yeah. No, but my wife would like to do the version, the 10-day version, where you just do the last 10 days.
Got it.
And you day hike it, and then the tour company moves your suitcase from hotel to hotel, or bed and breakfast along the way, and then you finish at the church.
I love it.
But it's 10 days of pretty good amount of hiking.
So it's possible that this might be in your future.
Sure.
How exciting is that?
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, look, I have thoroughly enjoyed the time together. Anything else you'd like to say?
I think it's great what you're doing, and telling these stories and getting different people's perspectives about being out in nature and connecting with God and other people, and keep it up.
So with all that's going on, can somebody follow you on Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, Instagram's probably the best. I mean, I just keep my account as just kind of a record of all my adventures. Hawaii is by far, one of our favorite places.
Okay.
We like to go, so it's kind of...
What's your username?
My username is KW Kauai Bound. Hawaii is our favorite island, and seems like if we're not on that island, we're bound to be there soon. So it's KW Hawaii Bound.
I love it. Well, look, backcountry.church. If you haven't downloaded the app, go to Google Play, go to the Apple Store, download it. There'll be many more interviews coming up. Thanks, Keith, so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
God bless.
Thank you.